Oh, hi there. How's it going, Forum? Great to have you company back again. Here we go. As we turn it up, I'm sure most of us by now have been shocked by the announcement that Dubai wants to arrest Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on charges of complicity to murder. As we all can appreciate, a charge of murder is a very serious crime. And of course, it's not the first time he's been implicated in the murder. Of course, the young man who assassinated Yitzhak Rabin, he was found to be a student of none other than Benjamin Netanyahu personally himself.
On the day of the assassination, Rabin was not well protected. He went to a massive rally in the center of Tel Aviv. There were thousands of people swarming around him. The important one was a 25-year-old right-wing extremist named Yigal Amir, who had studied Jewish texts for inspiration before deciding to assassinate Yitzhak Rabin at this peace rally, where Rabin had urged only a song of peace.
Nobody asked him any questions, and when somebody did ask a question, he just said, I am one of the drivers. The assassin approached him from the back and actually shot him from zero distance, point blank, 3 bullets to the back.
He would remark smugly that he didn't need to be any great marksman to kill Rabin from that distance. He thought God had helped him.
There are always people, I think, within any religious community that may give the interpretation that somehow God has allowed them and maybe even commanded them to commit an assassination. Throughout his trial, even though practically the entire state of Israel was against him, he stood his ground. He was constantly smiling in the courtroom. Among some young in Israel, he even became a hero after the trial and during the trial.
Still, even as the fallout from the scandal still escalates, Israeli TV makes fun of the Mossad hit. Israeli TV seems provocative in making fun of the Mossad hit.
Caught on tape again. But these aren't the real Israeli spies allegedly behind the assassination of a Hamas commander in Dubai. It's Israeli TV making fun of what's become a very public, secret killing.
What kind of t-shirts?
Meanwhile, sales of Mossad t-shirts are selling like hotcakes.
Israel's spy agency Mossad,
And interest in becoming an agent has never been higher.
Online shops have been selling out of t-shirts, specially made to capitalize on Israel's assassination fever.
Well, what kind of guy is Benjamin Netanyahu anyway? As they call him, Bibi Netanyahu. What kind of guy is this exactly that we're dealing with here? Let's have a listen now in his own words, the words he likes to use the most. Let's have a listen, Benjamin in his own words.
Anti-Semitic rants after the horrors of the Holocaust. Senior Nazi officials, the Nazi government, Auschwitz-Birkenau concentration plans by Heinrich Himmler, Hitler's deputy, Auschwitz-Birkenau concentration camp, Auschwitz survivors, the Nazis of the Holocaust. The Nazis, Holocaust a lie, this Holocaust denier to the Holocaust. Of 6 million Jews over the Nazis, the terrorist regime of Iran, terrorists, back terror base, the Nazis, evil force, the terrorist terror, terrorists everywhere, terrorism, war criminals against terror with the terrorists, Iranian-backed terror base of the forces of terror led by Iran.
Terrorists spread terror. Terrorists
fight terror, tyrannizes its people, terrorists everywhere. And the radical and violent, odious exporters of terrorism and fanaticism, the terror proxies of war crimes.
We do move on the larger chessboard of the nations. Of the greatest crime in history. Auschwitz, of Nazi Germany. Comparisons with Hitler, well, agony and suffering. The Holocaust survivors, whom the Nazis, and the greatest crime committed against humanity. Response, I think, to the Holocaust, an enduring, lingering response to the Holocaust and to the wars of Israel and to our natural impetus to ensure that the Jewish people survive beyond the personal calculation and consideration that every family makes. We lost a third of our people to murderous violence. I think it's telling to go and visit, as we did, Auschwitz-Birkenau, to stand there in the terrible ice and to understand that those who didn't burn froze and those who didn't freeze burnt.
The rise of Nazism, by the Nazis and against Nazism, in the face of Nazism, by these terrorist attacks.
And we have to recognize what it is that we need to succeed and to assure the Jewish future. Thank you very much.
And that's exactly the challenge which we Jewish people feel and face, how to bring all of us back to strengthen our identity in order to fight for our future.
You know, considering this guy was the author of the book called How to Win the War on Terror, it kind of makes all of this rhetoric sound like one big sales push for his own book sales. You know what I mean? When you're the author of a book called Fighting Terrorism, How Democracies Can Defeat Domestic and International Terrorism, well, this kind of sounds like one big push for book sales. And how's this for a prime minister a little bit too much over the edge? Back in July 2009, he actually used a term only ever used by the Germans against the Jewish people. He used the German term Judenrein. It's a cynical attempt to skew the fight over West Bank settlements. Now here is an example of an Israeli leader using the very Nazi terminology. I think maybe he's got Nazis on the brain. Well, how did you go with some of the scenes from those outtakes? It certainly seems to me that they always try to bring up the memory of the Nazi. The Auschwitz-Birkenau, always talked about, all the time. One thing that I learned from listening to that is they always seem to live in a fear that they need to fight for their very existence. That there is a daily struggle going on. There seems to be an agenda that this is a normal, everyday thing to be able to fight and to be able to bear your arms and go and kill your enemy on a daily basis. It seems to be a whole lifestyle gathered around being on the edge and being on alert and being at war for their very survival. And that's what they seem to have drummed into them from a very early age. That in itself makes for a very psychotic nation of people. A people that can glamorize war, glamorize death and destruction, and turn it into something funny when really killing is actually one of the sins.
We'll make clear that the pattern of assassination as official governmental policy has long been established as the standard modus operandus of the Zionist state. By the way, specifically, Reuters cited that Avigdor Lieberman, the foreign minister of Israel, would not deny the role of the Mossad. He refused to deny the responsibility of the Mossad in this operation. And it should be clear that the operation that we see here is following a pattern that has long been established, as I mentioned. The Mossad carried out assassinations of this kind in Jordan, in Norway, in Denmark. And it should be also made clear that the noted former Mossad operative Viktor Ostrovsky, who wrote a book called By Way of Deception and another book called The Other Side of Deception, has documented multiple assassination operations and bombings and false flag operations, terror operations that the Mossad conducted and then ascribed to victim others that the Mossad intended to attack. Specifically, for example, the blowing up of the La Belle discotheque in Berlin, which was attributed to Muammar Gaddafi in Libya, was established by Frontal, German intelligence, and German television as a Mossad and CIA operation. This has been documented and established beyond any doubt. The seizure of the Achille Lauro, which was a pleasure craft, and the throwing off of that boat of a Jewish citizen from the United States, Klinghoffer, was attributed to the Palestinian Liberation Organization. It has been established as a Mossad operation by Ari Ben Menashe in the book Prophets.
So will Netanyahu be arrested and face war crimes, or will he be done for the murder and the assassination of the Dubai hit? Only time will tell. Right here, Stop Funding Israel. Don't forget to subscribe, add as a friend, and of course, always comment and favorite. Well, with all the evidence on the table, things do not look good for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. That is for sure. However, stay tuned for breaking updates, stay subscribed, add as a friend, make a comment, pass a joke, pass a joint, indeed, be yourself. Take care, God bless, and ciao for now.